welcome to Project Nightmare. This pasta is a little bit about Banjo-Kazooie and its development for Project Dream, which originally was going to be a NES game, but we all know that story. Anyway, this guy wants to learn more about Project Dream, but instead he finds his Banjo-Kazooie game, and then all shit goes from there. Alright, here we go. Banjo-Kazooie is one of the greatest games for the N64. I remember having this game when I was 8 or 9 years old. I always thought the game was very funny in some ways, but in other ways it was quite scary. Nowadays, I spend my time researching the betas for video games. I came across such as Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Galaxy, but the most interesting seemed to be Project Dream. Project Dream was what was supposed to be Banjo-Kazooie, but for the SNES. After it was changed to Banjo-Kazooie, fans seemed to like it more. I thought that Project Dream would have been the coolest game ever. I searched all over the internet for a ROM to download it, but nothing came up. As I researched Project Dream, the more and more I found out the main villain was Captain Black Eye. That name for some reason caught my attention. I couldn't see what this Captain Black Eye character looked like because there were only 2 known images of the game, both only showing the main character, which was a boy named Edison. I googled Captain Black Eye to see what exactly he is. As soon as I saw his face, I remembered. He was the band from Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, and that was how I remembered him. I realized since Captain Black Eye was supposed to be in Project Dream, I should check out the actual games itself to see if there were any other things used in Project Dream there are in Banjo-Kazooie. I went to my basement to find the N64 with Banjo-Kazooie. I dug up some cool things like Mario Kart 64 and Gex. I finally found Banjo-Kazooie, which was hiding right under the N64 this whole time. I returned upstairs and set up my old N64. I blew the dust out of the cartridge and pushed it in. It took me a few tries to get it to start up, but when it did, I was 100% ready. Although I could say I was nervous, I guess I didn't really know. The game began with a Rare logo, but instead of it squishing a bug and going right into the intro, it was just a black screen that showed the logo for Rare with no music, then simply skidded to the file select screen. I didn't notice this at the time and kept playing. The first file was Banjo laying in bed. The file is from when I first got the game, and I decided it was my best bet to continue from there. When I selected it, Banjo didn't even wake up. I was a little confused by this, but I wasn't too concerned either. It began at a black screen for about 14 seconds with no audio except for the witch, Grunty, lapping for the 14 seconds. After the black screen, I appeared in Grunty's lair entrance. I went with what I remembered and walked straight to Mumbo's Mountain. When I was there, I didn't see what I remembered. Mumbo was standing in front of the level entrance, sobbing in a corner, sitting down. I interacted with him, and Mumbo said, "What was seen will never be unseen." The message kept repeating over and over. It didn't matter how many times I pressed A. He didn't stop. That nervous feeling inside of me grew. I wasn't sure what to do, but I resist the system to find out what the hell was happening. I thought just maybe I was at a specific part in the game I couldn't remember, so I reset the system and tried playing again on the same file. This time, the game just automatically brought me to Grunty's lair once again. This time, her portrait that was hanging became something different. If I am correct, I believe it was Captain Black Eye. It shocked me to see this as it was never supposed to be here. I knew this for a fact, and when I saw it, I had an uncomfortable feeling and I had to shut the N64 off. I was alone that night and couldn't fall asleep. I kept having these strange feelings about that painting. It seemed there was some way to get the game sort of new. I wanted to research Project Dream. I went to bed trying not to think about anything Banjo-Kazooie related. I watched TV to help me his face. It just couldn't stop showing up in my mind. I ended up sleeping that night, but when I woke up, I put the cartridge in the N64 once more. It started up normally for once. I actually began the game in Banjo's house and started playing, but also being very cautious at the same time. When I went outside, the audio cut off. A text box appeared with no head to show who was speaking, and it said, "Arr, you pesky bear! You'll suffer for stealing me glory!" The screen then faded to black. What I saw next was horrifying. Not even meant to be in video games. The screen showed a forest like in the intro of the game. You could see the grass and the trees. It was very quiet. The screen stayed there for a good 2 or 3 minutes while I was just watching. Then suddenly Banjo popped up right in front of the camera, screaming his pupils. They were very tiny, and I think he had gone insane. Kazooie came out of his backpack with no eyes whatsoever. Banjo began flailing his arms around like he does for one of his attacks in the game. Banjo stopped screaming. He approached the camera and whispered, "It's over. It's all over." Banjo just started to bleed from his eyes and eventually just died. The camera zoomed out for a while and then Grunty's laugh repeated over and over. I was in shock. I felt like passing out, puking, even crying. But somehow I managed just to sit still and stare at Banjo. After around 5 minutes, the screen went black. I took the game out, went to my room, and stared at it, trembling in fear. I had no idea what to do. I wrapped the game up and used it in a bubble wrap and sold it on eBay. The buyers really didn't know what they would get into. I felt happy for getting rid of it, but the fear kept overtaking that happiness. I tried emailing Nintendo several times about this, but they would just tell me I am insane, or that they aren't involved with Banjo-Kazooie. And that was Project Nightmare. The pasta started out fine, but then the whole thing went downhill from literally the start. Let's see. The owner of this game owned this cartridge for a while, and then everything started to bug out and be creepy, sort of. Yeah, no, that does not work. 2. Timing. Again, how the hell do you know the timing? I know I've brought this up several times, but this just irritates me when this happens. It's technically extra 2. And then the topper is the ending, selling it off to another idiot to buy it off eBay. Well, but then again, to that credit, at least they did put a little spin on that cliche, but not to a very good degree. So this one gets a D. For starting out at least a little bit decent, but then it spiraled downward by giving us being a creepy story for no rhyme or reason. So that's about it. See you guys next time.